Namaste and welcome to calculation of cost of capital using capital asset pricing module CAPM under simple solution series. When we calculate cost of capital of equity or retained earnings, we have got three modules. One is no growth, second one is Gordon's growth model, and third one is capital asset pricing module. In this presentation, we will be talking about capital asset pricing model or CAPM. The basic foundation of this model is return in a market comprises of two parts. One, risk-free return, which we call it as R1, and the second one is the market return, which excludes the risk-free return. If we take the market return as RM and if risk-free return is R1, the balance return is called RM minus R1. This is directly related to risk. Higher the risk, higher the return, and lower the risk, lower the return. And if the risk is too high, it may also be going beyond this circumference. It may bloat. Therefore, what extent of risk a company or a firm runs is indicated by beta. The beta may be less than 1, equal to 1, or greater than 1. If it is greater than 1, means it is higher than the market risk. If it is less than 1, it will get only a part of this. Now, whenever a problem talks of beta and the market portfolio risk or return on the market portfolio, we have to choose this method of cost of equity equals risk-free return plus market return minus risk-free return multiplied by beta. This is the formula that we use. In this problem, calculate the cost of equity capital of HUL Limited, where the risk-free return equals 10%, means R1 equals 10%. The company's beta is equal to 1.75. Then, and the return on the market portfolio. Return on the market portfolio means this entire thing is equal to 15%. It is very simple. For our formula, we need to break this into R1 plus RM plus minus R1. R1 is 10, overall is 15, therefore this is 5%. As simple as that. Let us proceed further. We are going to use capital asset pricing module, and what is given here is return, risk-free return is 10, company's beta equals 1.75, return on market portfolio, this entire circle is equal to 15%, means R1 is 10, beta is 1.75, 15 minus 10 is equal to 5%. Therefore, it is 10% plus 1.75 into 5, 10 plus 8.75, 18.75. As simple and as lucid as we saw it here now. This is typical way of calculating capital asset pricing model to work out cost of equity capital. We'll take one more. MNC Limited provides the following details. R1 equals 7%. Beta is equal to 1.2. It is more than normal. And R1 minus R1 is equal to 6%. This is 6%. Means 6 plus 7, this total is equal to 13%. If we have this visualization, The problem is so simple. We are going to use capital asset pricing module R1 plus beta into Rm minus R1. As simple as this. R1 is 7%. Beta is 1.2. Rm minus R1 is nothing but 13 minus 7, which is equal to 6 as already given. And it is 7% plus 1.2 into 6 is 7.2, 14.2. Now this is a simple calculation of capital asset pricing module based cost of retained earnings. It was asked here. Now you have to remember one thing: retained earnings and share capital go together, and either of them use the same formula. Whether it is equity capital or retained earnings, formula used is the same. Now what we will do is we will take a comprehensive illustration which covers other means of finance along with the equity or cost of retained earnings, which calls for use of CAPM or capital asset pricing module. Let us take up that. We have a problem, illustration number 19. Now let us see each one we will take. We will take equity and then see what is given. We are given equity face value, reserves we are given beta, we are given long-term treasury bonds return, we are given stock market risk premium, and current ex-dividend share price. These particulars are given in respect of equity. Means we are going to calculate cost of capital in respect of equity and reserves. Which formula we need to use? As we saw, we have three, but what we find here is that we are given the beta. We are given the normal risk-free return, and we are given the market risk premium. Of course, we are going to use the capital asset pricing module for this purpose. That we identify. Once done that, we go to next source of finance. We have got preference shares. What is given in respect of preference shares? We are given 11% preference shares, 120 million, face value 10, and dividend is 12. Other than this, there is nothing given. Now, for preference shares, we have two modules. Either we can use the redeemable module or we can use the perpetual module. To use the redeemable module, we should know what is its realized redemption value, what is its normal proceeds which we receive, and what is its duration, which is not given. We are given simply 11% preference shares and its dividend. Okay, dividend is given here, and we are told 11% preference shares, its face value is 10 and its dividend is 12. Then what, even if we go here, it is D into 1 plus dividend tax. In this case, dividend tax is not given. We can as well presume it as 0 and use this provision. That way, we will be using the perpetual module for preference shares. After this, we have got 12% debentures. What is it given? 12% debentures, 120 million. And here it says current price of debenture, market value is 102.5. Its original value was 100. Now, as we saw, even for debentures, unless you have the duration, RV and NP and interest, we cannot use redeemable debentures. But if it is given, our choice has to fall here. Is it given? 12%, current market value, face value. Debentures are redeemable 3 years. After 3 years, interest paid annually. There are no flotation costs. Calculate the company's weighted average cost of capital. Coming to debentures, we have the interest. We have the tax. Corporate tax is available. Its current price is given. Redemption value is also given. Duration is given. We can make use of this formula for the sake of debentures. Then we have got one more, that is of term loan. Term loan, we are given only two things. 14% term loan, corporate tax rate is 40%. We cannot use this module. We have to come here, principal amount, tax rate and interest. That should suffice for the term loan. Therefore, in this problem, four modes of finance: equity and retained earnings using capital asset pricing, preference shares using the perpetual module based on the details given but presuming dividend tax to be zero. Third, we have redeemable debentures, which we are using the formula where the duration of the debentures is given. And number four, term loan, we are using the perpetual. This is perpetual module where interest tax shelter multiplied by interest divided by the principal is considered. Now, having seen this, we can proceed to take up the equity capital and reserves. As we have seen, pricing module, capital asset pricing module is what we are going to use, R1 plus beta into Rm minus R1. As we have seen, three items are given. Beta is 1.06 and long-term treasury bonds yield, which is nothing but risk-free return. This is given for the specific reason. Long-term treasury bonds means it is without any risk, 10%. And what is RM? RM is stock market risk premium. Stock market risk premium is nothing but Rm minus R1. In the circle, one portion goes for R1 and the balance is risk pertaining. This is free of risk. This is with risk. Rm minus R1 is given as 6%. Therefore, 10 plus 6, Rm is total is equal to 16. We are given these details. Make the posting. Beta is 1.06, Rm 16% minus 10, and as they given, it is 6% is the risk premium, and 10 plus 6.36, 16.36 is the cost of equity capital. And you have to remember one thing, whatever we derive for equity capital, it equally applies to reserves. We will talk about these two concepts at the other part of the solution. Coming to preference shares, as we found, we thought of giving this solution for getting the result, but we don't have the dividend tax portion. We take it as 0. Here 11%. If it is 11% on a face value of 10, dividend becomes 1.1. And second, dividend preference share price. The price as of today is 12. Dividend, what NS stands for? Net sale proceeds, issue price minus flotation cost. Now net sale proceeds, we can take it. Net sale proceeds today is 12. 1.1 is the dividend divided by 12, tax taken as 0. It becomes 1.1 divided by 12 becomes 9.17%. Preference shares is valued at 9.17. Now coming to debentures. We said debentures, since they have given all details including the duration, we are going for the normal method of redeemable debentures. We have, they are 12%. The face value of the debenture is 100, therefore interest is 12. Tax is 40%, means 0.4. Redemption value, it has to be redeemed. There is no premium, therefore it is 100. Net proceeds is the current market price minus flotation cost. Flotation cost 0, therefore 102.5. And it is redeemable after 3 years. Value is 3. It is just a matter of making the postings into the formula. Interest 12 into 1 minus tax. Tax is 0.4, 1 minus 0.4 plus redemption value is at par 100 minus net proceeds is current price less flotation 102.5 minus 0. Duration is 3. Once we do this on the numerator, we come to denominator. 100 plus 102.5 divided by 2 for average capital employed. Then we have got 12 into 1.04, or sorry, 12 into 1 minus 0.4 means 0.6, plus 100 minus 102.5 divided by 3 is 2.5, minus 2.5 divided by 3 is minus 0.833. Therefore, it is 12 into 0.6 plus minus 0.833 divided by 101.25 means 12 into 0.6, 7.2 minus 0.833 is equal to 6.37 divided by 101.25, and that gives us 6.29 as the cost of capital in respect of debentures. Now, three formulae we have used. Now the fourth one, that is term loan. We said it has to be based on interest paid 1 minus tax divided by sale price. We see here now interest into 1 minus tax divided by NP, sale price. 14% is the term loans, corporate tax is 0.4, and market value means it is face value. Now there is no separate market value for a term loan, divided by 100. It is as simple as 14 into 0.6 is 8.4 divided by 100 is 8.4%. This is regarding the term loan. Thus we have calculated equity and reserves, cost of capital, preference, debentures and term loans. What the question asks, calculate the company's weighted average cost of capital. The question is it book value or market value? Are you given book value? Yes, book value is available. Are you given market value? Yes, market value is available. That suggests when you are given both information, you are supposed to give both. Now we know for sure now. We have calculated equity and reserves at 16.36, preference at 9.17, debentures at 6.29, and term loans at 8.4. That is the cost of capital which we derived in the previous notes. Now it is only a matter of proceeding further. We have to have book value posted. Let us go for based on book value, equity, reserves, preference, debentures and term loans. What is the value? Value is 1200 million as given. We calculate the weights. If 1200 is equal to 100%, what is the percentage of this? Then we have got the cost of capital. We post the same cost of capital under different heads. And third step is A into B, which is A into B for weighted average cost of capital, the weights based on the book value, and the total of this is 12.25%. Now going to market value, we take the same thing. Here we need to understand one thing. In case of equity capital, which is quoted on a stock exchange, the price that you get on the stock exchange is not for only capital, it is for reserves also. Therefore, when you multiply the number of shares with the market price, that covers both of them. There is no need to segregate. We can take them together and then post it. As you will see here now, though we have got equity capital and reserves as two different items at 240 million and 360 million, when you list the shares and the shares are traded on the stock exchange, they are traded as one single share certificate, which covers the entire net worth of the company in respect of this share which is included therein. Therefore, here we will take the value in respect of share capital based on the market value. What is the market value? In respect of equity shares, stock market risk premium, current ex-dividend equity share price is 15. This is at 10, 240. and the number of shares is 240 million divided by face value of 10 is 24 million. 24 million into 15 is 360. What about reserves? Reserves should not be shown separately because the market price of 15 is both including equity and reserves. Therefore, we can put a note included in equity share capital. This is nothing but 24 million into 15 is 360. Then we have got preference shares 12, and here the preference share was 10, means 12 into 12, 120 becomes 144. Debentures market value is 102.5, at 100 is 120, another 2.5, it becomes 123. And term loans, they have no marketable separate rates, it continues at the same. Here the point to be noted is one indication of rate for equity plus reserves. There is no separate rates. With that, the market value is 987. We go for the weights. We go for the cost of capital, which is the same as we found on the top. Then we multiply. Then we receive the market value based weighted average cost of capital. You will see here now 12.25 falls to 11.15 mainly because the weight assigned based on book value is 1200 million, whereas the weights assigned based on market value is 987. That is the reason it is coming down. That is number one. Number two, the equity which was contributing 50%, 20% from equity, reserves 30%. 50% was charged here at 16%. Here 36% is charged at 16%. Means lower cost funds are contributing to more weights, and hence the cost of capital based on market value is being shown at a lower level. And this principle of, in one of our earlier examples, we have prorated this value between these two in the original ratio of equity share capital and reserves. It is not required to be done because we can just say equity share capital based on the market price. Market price is for the equity shares and reserve has to be a part of equity share capital. And that is the solution to illustration number 19. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.